Family Fund, the Pioneer Library System Foundation, and the Friends of the Shawnee Public Library. Our group today is Boulevard Brass. This is a Norman-based group. They've been playing together, some of them, I guess, for maybe a couple of years. They are going to show us what makes their instruments work. They're going to play some songs that feature them. We're going to illustrate a favorite Jungle Book story in a little bit. And then, I don't know, did you guys bring the homemade instruments?
Yep,
Oh, the homemade instruments today. They'll talk about those. And then when they get all finished, you all can go back to the tables and we're going to make some shakers and some strumming boxes and what are those things called? Castanets? Yeah, so we'll do some music making afterwards. So without further ado, let's put our hands together and welcome.
Well, thank you. Like she said, we're the Boulevard Brass Quintet. We're going to do several different tunes for you today, play for you. We're going to do our storybook time in a little bit. Before we did that, we wanted to kind of, like she had said in the intro there, we're going to show you some actually instruments that you could make at home or that you could have at home. You probably already, most of you probably already have one of these instruments at home and you don't even realize it. And we're going to sort of show you how you play them as well, too. The first one we want to show you, Logan Fitch is our French horn player. He's going to play the garden hose. Now for this, he does have this mouthpiece, and he's going to put it in the end. But you could play. Can you do it both ways, with or without a mouthpiece?
Yeah, here's without.
Here's without a mouthpiece. That's good stuff. And then with a mouthpiece. Yeah, so what he's doing when he's playing there is when we play, we take a breath, we have an idea of how we want to sound in our head, and then basically we go, or it's sort of kind of, when we're doing it, there's a lot of complex things involved with it, but eventually our lips, when we're playing, will go, kind of like that, okay? So let's see if we've got any future brass players here. Can everybody do that? Can you go?
Yeah.
You look like you've got it pretty good. Can you do it? Try it. Yeah. So it's like if you're blowing and then basically it. So now you know how to play a brass instrument. Now, obviously it takes a lot of time and practice, but that's kind of the gist of how you get started. The next instrument we want to show you, are you going to play that one too? Yeah. Logan's going to play this one as well too. This is a didgeridoo. And basically all that is, now we've had kind of some conflicting stories on how the didgeridoo is made. We've heard it's either hollowed out, like somebody hollows it out, or it's a hollow piece of wood, or termites do it. We're not exactly sure which one of those is correct, but at any rate, at some point you get to a piece of wood that's round, that's hollow, whether that happens from termites doing it or some other way. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Good.
And then,
Go ahead.
and then the other thing is they start to sing and make other noises while they're buzzing. So it's like, and it gets a lot of extra noises. Once you direct it in the pipe, you get some cool sounds. Yeah.
Okay, so we've started out doing two things so far. First we went. Does everybody think they can do that? So first go. Okay, now go. Okay, now see if you can do them together. Pretty good. That one might take some practice. That's kind of tough for me too. Okay, the next one, Daryl is going to demonstrate for us. Now all this is, hold that up, Daryl. That is exactly what it looks like. That's just a handle. Okay? Daryl is going to play a piece by the composer Handel on the handle. Does anybody know what that tune was that he played? Hallelujah. Yeah, Hallelujah chorus. Good. Okay, the next one we're going to show you, this is the last one we're going to demonstrate. This one here is called a vuvuzela. This is a real popular instrument in South Africa. When they had the World Cup a couple years ago, they were playing these like 90,000 people for the entire soccer match. Playing this the whole time. This is what this sounds like. Yeah, so that's just one person, and that's pretty loud. If you can imagine 90,000 people, you know, I think a lot of the soccer teams were complaining about, you know, it was so loud, hard to concentrate on. You can imagine 100,000 people doing that. So those are some of the homemade instruments. What we want to do now is feature the different instruments in the group. We've got trumpet, French horn, tuba, and trombone. Actually, let me go ahead and introduce us too. I didn't do that at the beginning. My name is Jeff Curtin. I play trumpet. I also teach trumpet out at Southern Nazarene University. This is Logan Fish. We all met at OU. Logan went to OU, went to Florida State and did his undergrad degree. He also has a degree in music theory too. So he has 3 degrees. He's pretty smart. This is Alex Purdy. He's actually subbing for us today. Our normal tuba player couldn't be here, so Alex is a great tuba player, so we asked him to play along with us. He's actually an undergrad student at OU right now. He's still in school, but he's really good, so like I said, we wanted to play with us. That's Daryl Nogany. He also got his degree at OU. He plays with a lot of groups around town. Plays with a rock band called, or used to play with a rock band called Banana Seed. Doesn't anymore because the quintet was so busy he didn't have time. And then this is Mervyn Tay. He's kind of the brains behind the group. He does a lot of our arranging, and obviously also plays trumpet as well too. So, like I said, we want to feature all the instruments individually, and the first one we're going to feature is the tuba. But Alex is going to play something for you first. Usually the tuba doesn't get a lot of neat parts in music. It usually just is kind of basic stuff. Alex, can you play for him what the tuba usually does in a tune? Yeah, so luckily some composers have started to write some more stuff for tuba. So this one's going to feature Alex on tuba. It's called Rag Burlesque. Now, if you notice, the trombone's a little bit different than all the other instruments. All of us have vowels when we play, but Daryl actually gets different pitches, and he'll show you that in just a second, but he actually has a slide instead of vowels. Can you show him that?
Yeah. So the trombone is really not much more sophisticated than the garden hose we played earlier. The slide just allows me to make it a little bit longer, which lowers the pitch. So I go. I combine that with all of us can play, however we're holding our instrument, we can play multiple notes. So I think that's why I go. So we have to combine that feeling with our lips, with moving the slide in my case, or moving the vowels, which is what lengthens their instruments. So we combine that to get all the notes that we need to play. So, and whereas the tuba is kind of the foundation, the lowest notes, the trombone is usually kind of the second lowest notes. So, but what makes the trombone special is what you're about to hear.
This one's called Lasses Trombone. Again, it's going to feature Daryl Nagati. Okay, the next one we're going to do is our garden hose player, also French horn player. This is Logan Fish. We're going to feature him on French horn. As you can see, the French horn, kind of best way to describe it I can say, it kind of looks like a curly-cue. It's one of the longest instruments, maybe aside from the tuba, probably 30 or 40 feet long if you were to stretch it out. But the French horn and the piece we're going to do is no exception. It always gets the real pretty melodies. But Logan's going to show you first, before we play his tune, kind of how to play the French horn and kind of how the French horn started and how they used to play it.
Yeah. So before before the horn had valves, it was more like the hose. It was one set length, but they figured that when you put your hand in the bell, you could change the notes. Kind of like, it dips in pitch, kind of like when the trombone lets it slide out and back up. But then they really figured out what they were doing, and they could play a scale. So, that worked for a while. It clearly has a different quality between the open notes and the closed notes. That's a very veiled quality. And once they put on valves, you could play those notes all without using your hand. But we keep the hand in the bell for that other effect. Sometimes composers ask for that. So we'll have. It's a very, very bright, brassy. It cuts through an entire orchestra. It's so bright and brassy sounding.
So this one is going to feature Logan, and it's called Genius with the Light Brown Hair. Okay, the next one we're going to feature is me and Mervin on trumpet. The whole group's going to play this, going to feature us in particular. The trumpet kind of started out basically as an instrument they would play like when the armies were out on the battlefield getting ready for war. So you hear a lot of things that they would play outside to kind of get the troops ready to play. Mervin's going to demonstrate that for you. So this one's a little bit different than that, but it's still kind of that outdoor war-like feel. This one's called Galliard Battaglia, and it's going to feature me and Mervin on trumpet. may have noticed that we've been putting things in our horns. These different little metal and plastic things we put in there are called mutes, and they change the way that the horn sounds. We feature Daryl on this because he's got like a gazillion mutes over there. So Daryl's going to show you, basically, can you show Daryl how the trombone sounds without a mute, and then kind of what the mute does to the sound and what the different mutes, how it makes it sound?
So this is called a cut mute. This is one that we use if we want to make a soft, pretty sound. So if I was to play a melody with that one. This is just going to make it a little softer and sweeter. It's really kind of soft, pretty sound. And then the trumpets have a very similar mute, but another one that we're calling to use a lot is called straight mute, and it makes it kind of a more aggressive kind of biting sound. So whereas this composers of music will specify, at certain points they want that particular sound. So one that's kind of special for the trombone, and trumpets use it too, is one. This is actually what it looks like. It's a toilet plunger. This one has never been used, but we can use that in front of the horn to change the way it sounds. And in jazz music, we use this a lot, and we also do something very similar to what he was doing on the didgeridoo earlier, where we actually growl while we're playing. So kind of that kind of a thing. So it doesn't sound very pretty by itself. But you control when you do it, and you can find that with the plunger, you get some really kind of funky sound.
Yeah, so we've had the whatever we were doing earlier, and then also a growl. Can everybody growl? Let me hear you growl. Yeah, now can you go and growl at the same time? You're good to growl this year. Yeah, so you're ready to play a brass instrument. The next tune we're going to play, this is one, so far all of these have been arrangements of different tunes. This is one that Irvin actually wrote for us. It's a salsa tune, not chips and salsa. It's called Salsosa, and this is written by Mervyn Tay. audience participation in the show that Logan is going to instruct you. He's going to instruct you on what you need to do.
All right. Everybody knows the story of the Jungle Book, right? You know, there's a big fight at the end between Shere Khan and Baloo and Bagheera, and they're trying to protect Mowgli. And there's a big flash of lightning. And what we need to do is, when our wonderful narrator says, flash of lightning, we're going to do this. And Jeff's going to hold up a sign. So we have multiple cues. We're going to clap our hands over our heads. Let's try that. And then you're going to either pat your legs or rumble your feet. Okay? Now, here. A flash of lightning.
Okay, now listen. This is the most crucial, important part of the story. So don't mess it up. Okay? If we mess this up, we have to do the entire story over again. Okay? So when you hear flash of lightning and you see the sign, oh, well, see, we're going to have to try that again. When you hear flash of lightning, all right, make sure to do that.
But of all these legends, none is so strange as the story of a small boy named Mowgli. A child left all alone in the jungle was found by Bagheera the panther. Bagheera could not give the small, helpless man cub care and nourishment, so he took the boy to the den of a wolf family with young cubs of their own. That is how it happened that Mowgli, as the man-cub came to be called, was raised among the wolves. Mowgli had lived with the wolves for 10 years when the wolf pack called a meeting at Council Rock. "As you know," said Akela, the leader of the pack, "Shere Khan the tiger has returned. If he learns that our pack is harboring a man cub, danger will be doubled for all of our families. The man cub can no longer stay with the pack." Out of the shadows stepped Bagheera the panther. "Perhaps I could be of help," said Bagheera. "I know of a man village where he'll be safe." So it was arranged. And when the greenish light of the jungle morning slipped through the leaves, Bagheera and Mowgli set out. All day they walked, and Bagheera went, and when night fell, they slept on a high branch of a giant banyan tree. All this seemed like an adventure to Mowgli, but when he learned that he was to leave the jungle, he was horrified. "No!" cried Mowgli. "I want to stay in the jungle. I am not afraid. I can look out for myself." He slipped down a trail of a length of vine trail and ran away. Mowgli soon met a bumbling bear named Baloo. Baloo played games with Mowgli and taught him how to live a life of ease. There were coconuts to crack, bananas to peel, and sweet juicy pawpaws the proud old leader of the elephant herd, tried to train young Mowgli in the military drills as he led his troop, trumpeting down the jungle trails. Mowgli was having such fun in the jungle. But the jungle was dangerous. Sly, oh God, the python would have loved to squeeze Mowgli tight in his coils. But Shere Khan, the tiger, was the real threat to Mowgli. That was because Shere Khan, like all tigers, had a hatred of man. There were other dangers too. One day, Baloo and Mowgli were enjoying a dip in a jungle river. Suddenly, down swooped the monkey folk, and they snatched Mowgli from the water before Baloo knew what was happening. They tossed him through the air from hand to hand and swung away with him through the trees. Off in the jungle, Bagheera heard Mowgli's cry and came with a leap and a bound. The monkeys have carried him off, gasped Baloo. Bagheera and Baloo raced to the ruined city where the monkeys made their home. They found Mowgli a prisoner of the Monkey King. Teach me the secret of man's red fire, the Monkey King ordered Mowgli, so I can be like you. It took quite a fight for Bagheera and Baloo to rescue Mowgli. Look, Mowgli, said Baloo, I gotta take you to the man village. But alas, the boy would not listen. He kicked up his heels and he ran away again. This time, his wanderings led him to the high grass, where Shere Khan lay waiting, smiling with a hungry smile. When Mowgli caught sight of the tiger, Shere Khan asked, "Well, man cub, aren't you going to run?" But Mowgli did not have the wisdom to be afraid. "Why should I run?" he asked, staring at Shere Khan as the tiger gathered himself to pounce. "You don't scare me." "That foolish boy," growled Bagheera, who had crept close just in time to hear Mowgli. Both Bagheera and Baloo flung themselves upon the Lord of the Jungle to save Mowgli once more. They were brave and strong, but the tiger was mighty of claw and tooth. There was a flash of lightning, and a dead tree nearby caught fire. Mowgli snatched a burning branch and tied it to Shere Khan's tail. The tiger, terrified, ran away. Mowgli was very pleased with himself as he strutted between the two weary warriors, Bagheera and Baloo. A little later, Mowgli reached the man village. From ahead came a sound he did not know. He peeked through a bush. It was the song of a village girl who had come to fill her water jug. As he listened to the soft notes of her song, Mowgli felt that he must follow the girl. He crept up to the path to the village, drawn by the girl and her music. Baloo and Bagheera watched the boy's small figure as long as it could be seen. And when Mowgli songs now.
Okay, we do have still a couple more tunes we want to play for you, but before we do that, does anybody have any questions about any of the instruments, either the brass instruments or the homemade instruments? You had your hand up there. Go ahead. What's your name? Evangeline. Okay, what's your question, Evangeline?
My question is, how do you play the tuba?
We'll let Alex answer.
Pretty much you just use a lot of air, you blow it like, and you just go.
Yeah, you notice we all have different size mouthpieces. These are kind of the first thing that we buzz into. And trumpet players, because they're doing mostly high notes, they've got really small mouthpieces, so they can buzz high notes really easily. And the hardest, mine is trumpet players, a lot lower. And his is even lower.
Any other questions? Yeah, right there. What's your name?
Mercy,
Mercy? Okay, what's your question?
do you get your hands stuck when you put your hands in?
Good question.
No, it doesn't get stuck, but it does get a little hot and sweaty.
Now, when we play, it's not exactly spit, I guess, that gets in the horn, but there is what's called condensation, which is water, basically. So if you look, like you can see, I don't know if you can see that far, but there's some even on the end of my bell. This is called a bell. Gets all the way down there, and Logan, since he's got his hand inside the French horn, he probably gets his hand pretty wet when he plays. But that probably helps keep it from getting stuck because it gets wet. Okay, any other questions?
Why did he turn that thing over around for?
Well, it's kind of like I'm creating my own little downhill momentum. And if it's here, when I turn it, sometimes it slips down out the bell.
So
The water.
When we play, because we're blowing hot air through the instrument, water condenses on the inside of the instrument. And so every now and then we have to empty it out.
Yeah, if too much gets in there, it'll sound like gurgling when we're playing.
It'll sound like we're blowing bubbles or something. That's a good question. Any other questions? Yep, one more. What's your name?
Grace.
Grace.
So how would you play the trumpet before the valves and there's
Before the valves were invented, they would, it was basically kind of just like a bugle, sort of what Mervyn did before. So they didn't have all the different combinations you could do. You just kind of had to, there were only certain notes you could play and certain notes you couldn't before the valves. So that's a good question.
Do y'all play together? Do y'all go other places, or you just do this for fun?
Yeah, we do all sorts of stuff. We do this and then we play around. We play for weddings and play for, we're doing a concert in a couple months up at a church in Northwest Oklahoma City. So we play at church and we're playing at St. Luke's Church in 2 weeks or so. Yeah, outdoor festivals. We just did the McLeod Blackberry Festival a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we do kind of all over. Yeah.
Noticed you used your hand, but it wasn't much of a use. It really.
Yeah, it's just if you don't use the plunger on it, you're gonna. It's a little better with the plunger, but wasn't using a plunger today. So yeah, it's just sort of what they call a wah-wah effect. Wah-wah-wah.
Yeah,
That's basically what that is.
one mute I didn't show earlier. This is actually called a wah-wah mute or a Harmon mute. And it's got a hole in the middle. You can put your hand over and go. So, you've all probably heard this sound before.
Okay, well, we're going to do 2 more tunes. The next one we're going to do, both of these are Dixieland tunes that you might hear if you're down in New Orleans. The first one is called My Bonnie is Over the Ocean. We're not going to tell you what the last one is. We're going to see if, after we play that, if you can guess which one it is. But this first one is called My Bonnie is Over the Ocean.
shakery. It's from other countries, and basically it's just a shaker instrument. You can get out the cold water. Please use some of the stickers to decorate stuff up because you know where the labels were at on there. So color it up. We've got paper, we've got wrapping paper that you can cut out and glue on it. We've got stickers. We've got the yarn so that you can make little strings that hang off of it and put beads on it. That just decorates it up. But see, you can use beans, you can use rice, and it makes different sounds. So that's one thing here. Now, kind of the same way, we use these in story time. You can use like an Easter egg thing, and let it, if any of you want to do this, put something in it, but I don't have my tape out. We'll get our clear tape out and put some clear tape around the edges here so that it'll stay together. You have a shaker there, decorated up with stickers and stuff. We actually have a couple of these that you can make into shakers. Okay, over here, I probably don't have enough for everybody, but some of you can make it drum. If I take this one off, and this one off, maybe it's enough. But I can tell you what we do is we use balloons on there, and then we put rubber bands on. But anyway, you can. And you can decorate these over with paper. And I can help you cut the balloons off. And then over here, you can make a candy bar. Kind of like a guitar. We got some little boxes, we got some big boxes, and you just find different rubber bands in here and put them on there, stretch them out, and then you got like a called a strumming ball, kind of like a guitar. And then over here we have the castanet. And so you can get and we'll help you over here with the hot glue once you pick up the buttons and everything. Okay, so just go ahead. You probably need some scissors. Yeah, we need. Oh, I think that's just probably the right way. Shake it. Put them in there and shake it. What's I got? Ribbon? Yeah. Yeah, let me show you how to do it. Yeah, it's a magic bubble. But I would say, for instance, like you want to grow.